I know.
Yeah. So I guess so. Well, we'll see what happens with it. At least. It'll be a lot, or it'll be this.
I believe it's gonna be pretty,
Yeah, I've been watching it. It seems like it'll be,
it's gonna be pretty serious.
yeah, that there's. They might have been right this time. Come home.
Have fun.
Hi, Darren. Can you hear me okay?
Paul, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So I'm the only one sitting here.
Oh, we have Sarah.
There's Sarah. Yeah, I was going to say Sarah sent a text saying she is coming.
Quinn, who always texts me like at 5:01. And it's 5:01 and he's not
You're
here.
showing everybody up today.
I'm showing up. Yep, I'm the first. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
Wet.
Yeah, it's really started coming down.
How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Hanging in there.
How are you, Michaela? How's life?
It's lovely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Nothing like coming back from a holiday weekend and having to play catch up a little bit.
I know, right? It's like, it's great. We got a holiday and it's like, there are all these still the deadlines that.
Well, I'm doing all the stuff I usually do on Monday, throws off my Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah. And then the rest of the week, it's like, okay, now you gotta do everything in 4 days.
So, you know, it's all right.
Did you do anything fun for the holiday?
I just went to visit my parents.
Okay.
Where do they live? In Tremont.
That's up north.
Yeah, almost to the Idaho border.
Okay, okay, right. Okay.
Nice. Sounds good.
It's always good to go back to the parents and let them spoil you.
Yeah, my oldest nephew got engaged this weekend, so we have a little party.
Oh, fun.
Okay. Good for him.
Right on.
It's weird. I
Look,
feel like he's too young, but
How old is he?
21 this year. Not like too young, but
It's still 21. He's still
we're
young.
only 5 years apart, so he's always felt more like this like little brother. who just didn't live
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah, and again,
It
like
just feels weird. 21 is still pretty young.
so
Yeah.
young. Like
Yeah.
so young.
I'm like, good for you guys.
Wish you all the best.
Yep.
20, 21.
But
It's younger for me every year.
yeah.
Erin, did you do something fun for the weekend? Go
Uh,
biking somewhere or?
yeah, skiing
Skiing?
mostly, cross country skiing. How about you, Sarah?
No, I didn't really do anything.
Nothing.
I did homework.
Homework. Yeah, that's your phase of life.
It is. I'm looking forward to evenings and weekends back. But the school life, I mean, whether you're a student or faculty, it's kind of like there's always homework.
Yeah. Are you're enjoying your whole program though, right?
Yeah, I am. It's been definitely a big shift from,
Being in,
being a stay-at-home
Yeah.
mom for 19 years.
yeah.
Definitely learned a lot and also learned how little I know. You know, that's just the nature of things. The more you know, the more you realize.
More you're like,
Yeah, I mean, compared to when I started, it was encouraging. I was in a
Mhm.
class this semester, and I was delighted that like the various acronyms that go flying here and there.
yeah.
I'm like, I know what those mean. Whereas remembering my first semester, I'm like,
I don't know if I can do this if this is
yeah.
what
And I'm
this.
like, oh, I know that.
That is.
So, you know, we take the wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, well, you should be very proud of yourself for coming through this program. And aren't you almost done?
Yeah, I'll walk in May.
Proud of yourself.
I am. I am.
And, I mean, this job you have now, was it related to your schooling, or was it just independent and
So
all good things happen at once?
So my schooling, it's international affairs, but like I've been trying to focus some of my electives towards like environmental diplomacy. So there's obviously an, environment, planet, climate change, transboundary issues in the environment are always, so it's
Yeah.
both a global and a local issue, environment is, so.
They were
And-
probably happy you were getting a bigger.
Yeah, I'm sure that's definitely, it helps my case to get a job there. So, and then I'll be there full time when I graduate. So it's
Really?
nice to have
That's awesome.
a place where,
That is an awesome landing
and
spot.
it's a position
I mean-
that I get to kind of develop,
Yeah.
because it's a new,
Yeah.
this version of this job is a new position, and so I get to.
That's
So it's pretty
fantastic.
exciting.
That's so cool. I'm so happy for you. Yeah, wow, you're in a great place.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're in a great place.
it's
That's
fantastic.
So you're going full time after you graduate. That's great. I'm
Yeah.
happy to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got some financial support from my parents right now, but I'll have to lean off of them. Be a full-time breadwinner, but it's again,
You're a
not,
big girl soon.
I'll be a big girl soon. Yeah, but I'm grateful that, this job is ready for me, and I get to be creative and
It's fantastic.
grow this job, and
Yeah,
they'll pay me to do what I like to do.
yeah, that's amazing.
I don't know how much yet, but
Yeah.
hopefully it's enough.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Hillary.
Hello, Quinn.
Oh, Hillary's hiding.
Yeah,
That's why.
are you there, Hillary? I don't know if she might be stepped away, or you're muted if you are there and you're trying to talk. We're not hearing you.
Matt told me that he's running a little late.
Yeah, he will be here soon.
Okay.
So.
At least 10 minutes to start.
We have not. We've just been chatting about how Sarah is going to revolutionize her.
I'm excited for that, Sarah.
Y'all, come on.
I had
Oh,
a,
there's Hillary. Hi, Hillary.
I had a good meeting with George Hamlin today.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We were talking about some things.
Good. Excellent.
All right. Well, should we call this meeting to order?
We shall.
And we're recording?
You're good to go.
All right. Matt asked that we wait for him to arrive to talk about the city code amendments. I actually think this will be an interesting discussion. But perhaps we could just talk through some calendar things. Paul, I know that you wanted to talk about a bike ride. Do you have any proposed dates or things you'd like to run by us?
Well, I liked the idea that we were talking about last time of doing it during the bike month, so May. I will be going out of town towards the end of May, So the beginning of May would work best for me. So I was kind of eyeing either Saturday, May 6th or Saturday, May 13th as probably the days that would work best for me. But I was wondering, who do we talk to see schedule availability of, say, like the mayor and the council and that sort of thing? I don't even really know where to begin with that.
And Matt and Debbie would probably be able to help us best on that.
So what are the most important considerations for a date other than you being there, which is an important one? Is it availability of the council? Is that your highest priority?
Yeah, I would say so. I want the goal I'd say is to have this kind of community building sort of thing where we could be there, or at least represented there by part of our committee, maybe part of the transportation committee, part of the council, you know, where we can all like talk about bikes and active transport in the city and where we want to go with things, and you know, while having a good time riding a bike.
Okay, and do we want to invite the public or not?
I think that would depend. I mean, there was two different ideas, right? There's one idea that we could try to resurrect the pancakes with the mayor and have a bike ride afterwards, where the mayor's office maybe sponsors something, in which case I think we should invite the public. And then there's the other idea that it would be more of a networking, you know, just sort of people who can care about bike lanes and, you know, active transport in the city, and policymakers who could maybe do something about bike lanes and active transport in the city. So I don't know. I think that there's a place for both those types of activities. Honestly, I don't know what the first one here should be. I'm open to ideas.
Do we think that more of our council will participate if the public is there or
Yeah, quite possibly.
not? Possibly which one?
Yeah,
If the public is there, I think. Or maybe I don't know, we could be like a bike ride with the council and their families, their children and grandchildren. I don't know.
Yeah, if I remember right, we had talked about maybe, you know, focusing on the master plan of the, you know, active transport section of the master plan, and maybe riding in some of the places where the master plan has maybe completed certain projects, and then looking at maybe one or two places where the plan says we're going to do something here, but we haven't yet. I don't know. That was something we had talked about. But if we focused on places where the project has been successful, then yeah, having kids be there would be great. Like if we were on the Murdoch Canal Trail, or, you know, like where there are trails and it's nice and it's very bike friendly, I think that would be awesome. I would hesitate to have like a full, you know, family event in places where it's not as, I don't know, bike friendly.
Yeah. Okay. Are you gone the 20th of May? Well,
The 20th, I should still be here. It just might be a lot more stressful by that point.
okay. Can we pencil in an NRSC bike event on May 13th? And then would you reach out to Debbie? We can ask Matt when he shows up as well, but would you reach out to Debbie? I think she'll probably be the best position to answer this, and see if that seems like a plausible date. As good of a date as any to get the council. It is the day before Mother's Day. I suspect that people tend to be home that weekend, more often than not. Why don't we just put something on the calendar, and then if you would vet that and confirm in our next meeting, Paul,
Okay.
give us some time. If you'd also just put some thought into who you want there, and then Michaela, for our agenda next month, we put planning this event on our calendar. We'll figure out how to communicate it.
Yeah.
And that gives us 2 months lead time, which is good, I think.
Yeah.
Any other input on that event? Anybody?
You've talked to the Orem Bike Committee about this? Or they?
Not specific dates, but I mean, when we were going to potentially do something in the fall, they were very supportive of that idea. And I'm sure that they would love to, as long as the dates line up to their availability too. So I can check with them too.
Yeah, I would love to get them involved still. They are very interested in this and have some passion around it.
Mm-hmm.
Matt?
Just a consideration, if the idea is to try to do a pancake breakfast or get that sponsored, I think that was UDOT that sponsored those pancake breakfasts in the past. So I don't know how much that would cost and how much lead time UDOT would need if they were interested in partnering on that. But that's obviously a more involved event.
Mm-hmm.
With our $100, we could make very, very thin pancakes.
French press.
Yeah. Okay, great. Sarah, you had a number of calendar items that coming up in the spring, and I wanted you to speak to the ones that you wanted us to talk through.
Just some brief updates. So the spring cleanup that happens for, I don't know, a course of 6 or 7 weeks in the springtime that the city's been sponsoring. Last year, we also had one of those Saturdays as partnered with Free Swap, and that was very successful. I thought some challenges that can be improved on. What's that?
Was there hauling challenges?
There were hauling challenges, so we've got to figure that out. But I don't have the bandwidth this year to be able to do that event, so I'm hoping to do that next year. Apologize for that, but we all know that's how life is sometimes. So just an update, I will not be doing the pre-swap this spring.
Totally understandable.
And then I see the
Sustainability Summit and Earth Day, some things.
yeah, so UVU Sustainability Summit, that is scheduled for April 12th at UVU campus. And that will be essentially 8:30 to 1:30. We have a keynote speaker from Dell Technologies coming. And then we'll have 2 hours of dual track panel workshop sessions. Some more student focused, some more government business focused. We're partnering with the Utah Sustainable Business Coalition. And then I'm inviting representatives from Provost Citizen Committee, Orem Citizen Committee, and Lehigh Citizen Committee. Lehigh has a full sustainability coordinator, and they have a citizen committee, an employee committee, and a business committee. So my goal for that panel is try to show the menu of options that some Utah County cities, how they've established their citizen committees, how they're leveraging the passion of citizens to extend the city's ability to provide sustainability type services, and see if we can get more Utah County cities to establish some kind of a citizen committee. So that's my goal with that.
What is your hope for us?
If there's anybody on this committee, I mean, I obviously will be there and I can provide that presence, representation from this committee, but if there's anybody else on this committee that is available at that time.
What day was it again?
It's April 12th, it's a Wednesday.
You know what time it's on?
I'm not sure when that particular panel is sometime it's either at the 10 o'clock or the 11 o'clock hour.
So
Awesome. So-
if it's the 10 o'clock hour, I would love to kind of participate.
Okay.
If it's available, I teach it.
I'm the opposite. I could come in 11 and not 10.
Well, then
I mean, oh, yeah, you could, so we could either do.
either way, we're kind of basing it off of what our keynote speaker,
Okay.
that we're gonna add her to the business panel, and whichever hour works better for her. She's coming from out of town. Then
Of course, you got 2 people already on campus. Maybe they would do a good job.
Oh, well, I mean, I know Hillary's gonna be involved as well. She and a colleague are working on the academic side, and you know, they're colleagues in research and ways to get involved for the students. And then at the end, we'll have a campus sustainability tour and networking.
Yeah, I'm interested. I teach Wednesday afternoon from 1 to 2:15.
So you'll be available.
But yeah, I should.
So, I can set up, I'd like to do a Zoom call with the various parties, the 3 cities, and share kind of the skeleton that I had in mind, and we can build what that session looked like.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you for doing that. Got some rockstar faculty. Others-
we do have rockstar faculty. I mean, we're a blessed county for sure.
Okay.
And then.
Close on that.
And then the Earth Day Youth Art Contest with the library. I've met with them, and they've updated some of the graphics and contest rules. And so I will be reaching out to, I finally finished the database of the art teachers, various junior highs and high schools in the area. And I'll be reaching out to them tomorrow, likely. And letting them know. The due date, I think, is actually probably close to the April 12th, probably close to that. So they can either be submitted online for certain children's desk circulation. And the top 30 will be displayed in the gallery. Yeah,
Top
that,
30.
if we get that many.
That's awesome.
If we get that many, she has enough frames for 30, and they're all, I don't know, 8.5 by 11 or something like that. And so those will, you know, be up for about a month, kind of mid-April to mid-May. And so it'll be an Earth Month youth art gallery. And they will select a winner. The winner will receive a gift card and be displayed on the digital billboards. So, and then the students, more of the students will be able to have an opportunity to display their art. They'll include an artist statement. We kept the theme broad, just for saying Earth Month, whatever. See what comes in. So
Cool. Great. Good job.
Is the city doing anything associated with Earth Day? I'm thinking about what you did last year, Paul.
well, there was the kindness.
The kindness committee organized that
Yeah.
event last year. I'm not sure what's going on with that. The head of the kindness committee was a former Miss World.
Right.
Her name,
Lori Thomas.
yeah, Lori Combs. I'm not
She's-
sure. I mean, she's gonna replace Miss Warren, but
But as far as
yeah,
kindness-
I would think that she continues to serve on that because it's sort of her baby.
Yeah.
But I can put out a note. So I'll follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
And Paul, were you happy with what we attempted to do last year, or would you like to make any revisions to that?
I thought it was pretty good. We actually got to talk to quite a few people, especially considering it was very windy that day and it had been rescheduled. So the attendance maybe wasn't quite as high as it would have otherwise been, but even with all that, I got to talk to quite a few people, and that was pretty nice. So I think it's worth being involved if there's another event.
Can you follow up where you can take us with Paul? Are you comfortable being point on that still?
Yeah.
So that gives us 2 events in April and May. Be lovely. Wondering if there's anyone else you would like to put an event on the calendar for the first half of the year.
Well, I don't know if June counts, but I was just remembering that Matt talked to someone at Summerfest and they liked the idea of the bike valet.
Yeah, that was, yeah, Ken Matthews, who's on that committee, responded favorably to that. I don't know if any money was committed to help compensate the bike collective for their efforts, but I could follow up on that idea.
Are we thinking for Saturday, we were gonna pilot
Yeah.
1 day?
Right, that was the idea, I think, is let's try a 1-day pilot on
If we
Saturday.
can
And
find the money.
if we could find several $100s at a cost, I looked up last time, I can't remember the amount again,
It's like
but
$500.
$500 or something, yeah. And I think a 1-day pilot, I'm in favor of that.
They also said that you'd be welcome to have a booth. For all day if you like.
We have done that in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
That Saturday for Summerfest, I think is June 10th. The dates for Summerfest are June 5th through 10th, so I'm assuming that's a busy day, right?
Yeah,
So Darren, do you want to be point on that one? Are you around?
yes.
And you're hoping for the Saturday, right?
I'm happy to, my deepest desire in life is not to staff booths, but I'm happy to be point on the bike, on the bike valet thing. I'm happy to work with Kenna, or just be in the loop as you talk to her, Matt, if that's better, or
Just so you know, right?
would you keep me in the loop then, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I think we need money.
Yeah,
And then we need to get them to agree.
Yeah.
And then we just need to provide more support.
yes. I can provide moral support for bikes, and I'm happy to, show up but I think it's pretty self-contained operation. I'm not sure they need much help, but yeah, I'm happy to help coordinate the logistics.
That would go really nicely with our May 13th bike event. Before you came out, we had penciled in a bike event with the city council on May 13th. But none of us had access to the council calendar, and we were wondering if you had any more information about where that would go. Maybe before Mother's Day.
Yeah, it's a Saturday? Well, no, and I won't have access, and I'll have to work for the city manager's office to determine if that's that we want to participate in. Were you looking at just doing the council or more of a public ride along?
But Paul was going to figure that out. How about we just plan it
Yeah, let's just make a decision.
and then invite the council, and then also invite a bunch of other interested people in case the council doesn't show up. Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure, even if you get a soft commitment, how many council members will actually show up?
So I like that idea, Darren. What if we just say,
Yeah.
anybody we can get to go? And let's advertise widely, but let's gear it in a way so that the council can learn stuff. Because I think what the council would learn, everybody else would learn too.
Mhm.
And then there was some discussion about maybe talking to one of our bike stores about loaning e-bikes. there.
Right, yeah. So some of the connections through the Orem Bicycle Coalition, for example, they either have extra bikes or they know the people that run like say Mad Dog Cycles or some of those places that we could potentially have some e-bikes that people could use.
I think that that would be a wonderful marketing event for a bike shop. Give people a chance to try out a new bike too. Okay. I think that's quite ambitious for us to have those 3 events.
Yeah, full disclosure, I will not be here in June at all, so I won't be able to help with any of the Summerfest stuff, like the actual days of. I can help with the planning.
I'm a little iffy on that day too, but I'd like to try to be there. And before we leave the events, can we put a hike on the calendar for later in the year? That was something we've always been planning to do. Darren, is that something you were interested in?
I'm always interested in hikes, yes.
Would you like to do that in the summer or in the fall?
It doesn't matter much to me. I'm around a lot. I don't go lots of places. So, summer is hotter. I mean, what kind of hike are we talking? We're talking about a nearby hike, right?
Yeah.
Fall is probably a little bit better. Summer can be, I don't know. We will pray that we do not have a valley full of smoke all August, but August is really bad for forest fires and so outdoor activities. So I think September, October sound more promising, I guess.
September 9th or 23rd?
It's,
4th.
Doesn't matter to me.
Let's just put something on the calendar so we have it for
Okay.
discussion purposes.
Yep.
Hike with Orem, and I would be very happy to co-sponsor that.
Yeah,
With all our enthusiasm.
you're a hiker too.
You got a date?
September. Yeah.
And with all these things, I think we should not expect an overwhelming reception the first time, but if we start developing patterns, people will say, that was great, let's do that again.
and then follow it up with
Yeah.
marketing.
Like we did this night. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to talk about dates on the calendar before we move to our policy discussion?
Well, I had that email where I really want to, I just don't know where it fits on the agenda. The only place that seemed open-ended to me on the agenda was this first part where we're talking about dates. It's not an event, but it is an important deadline. I mean, Hillary, I always feel a little bit sheepish here because Hillary knows more than me, but maybe Hillary, maybe you prefer, since you're actually on the Utah Lake Authority, that I say some things about lobbying the Utah Lake Authority. The Utah Lake Authority has released its draft. Let's see, what is this called? Conceptual Management Plan. This is a really, really important document and a really, really important moment, I think. And I think that this conceptual plan, Utah Lake Conceptual Management Plan, it's remarkably well developed for as little time as you folks have had. I'm guessing, Hillary, there's some kind of consultant helped put it together for you. Is that right? Or
That's right.
yeah. It says a lot of things. I was just very surprised at how developed it was. And it's very exciting in a lot of ways. There's a lot in there. And they have a 30-day comment period. And I think there's a special interest in having cities and communities near the lake provide comments on this. And so, Matt, I would hope that this is on your radar with the city of Warren, and that the city is going to work on providing some comments on this. I think as a committee, we might want to think about some collective comments. And I think that individual members of the committee should think about individual comments as well. And I would really like, our next committee meeting is the day before this is due. And I'm even wondering if we want to move that up a week, if possible, so that we, I would like to spend 30 minutes as a committee talking about this conceptual management plan and coming up with feedback that we want to give the Utah Lake Authority on it. That would be my hope or initial idea. I'm open to possibilities here. Hillary, is this capture some of what you're interested in as a member of the Utah Lake Authority?
Yeah, for sure. I think like especially identifying what's not in there, like what's left out of the goals and objectives, and yeah, basically this will like shape all the funding goals and priorities for the foreseeable future. So gaps, what's left out, what could be strengthened.
Yeah, I think this is a really fundamental document, right? I mean, this has a scoring system for every future proposal that they're going to see. And what are criteria by which we're going to rank it? It lists all of the goals and all of the, I think it's hard to overstate the importance of this document.
That's only 50 pages. No, which means we can read it.
Fair enough. I was surprised it was 50 pages, but yes. No, it is digestible. I digested it in about an hour last night and felt pretty good about some of the stuff I saw. But it deserves even more thought.
Were there any red flags for you? Yeah,
There were a couple of things that I worried about. Yes. Should I share that now, or should I share it by email later? Or I want to leave time for the.
Yeah, this is an important section.
Yeah.
Well, you raised the question about whether we can schedule for March 14th instead of March 21st. So let's just explore that.
Yeah. Could we explore that?
So we won't be able to schedule.
That is the weekend, so we can't do that. What
Can we do
about
March 7th?
What about the 16th of March?
Yeah.
Thursday? Is that when you're in class? I can't remember.
I normally have crossed that. Sorry, you said 16th of March. Yeah, I have class, but that's fine. You guys can meet, and if I have comments, I can just email my comments. And
Darren, are you concerned if we meet on the 21st that we will not have sufficient time to get our comments in, or it's just too late?
Well, no, it's not too late in the comment period. I guess my concern might be that it is a tight turnaround time to write something up. I think that we might have insights that would be valuable to share with the city. I don't know if the city, I mean, in the past, when we've had things like this, the city has been open to our ideas. Would that be true, Matt, this time? I mean, if we came up with.
This is a commission document. Right?
Yeah, this is I'm sorry. This is
a
Utah Lake Authority is inviting input.
Yeah.
And so I am wondering if as a committee, if we came up with a couple of points, if we could share those with the city and they could use that as they were thinking about their input.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate if you, again, you have some timing issues.
Right.
But if you had some points you wanted to make and say, hey, council, we think these are valid points for this document, you should take interest in it. You know, just sort of as an FYI, or if you want to take that a step further and say, we recommend that you also send a like-minded message. Certainly both is appropriate within your purview to do.
That's my concern, is that I think that it might be
Just
nice to
timing.
do something like that. Right, it's a very tight timing. There's only 30 days here.
So, you know, if you want to do that, and I would avoid having a full-fledged discussion over email, so we don't violate public noticing laws.
Yep.
But if somebody took the lead and preparing some draft language, we got a head nod from the rest of the committee, we could maybe move that forward and say, hey, you know, this is what the committee members themselves, maybe that's one way to deal it, because, you know, for it to come from the committee to the commission, we might need a vote. I'm sorry, I'm thinking as I go.
Who do you mean by the commission?
Like Utah Lake Authority.
Authority.
They call the commission. So
Right, sorry. Yeah,
They
I just
changed
wanted
their-
to clarify.
they change their names and it
Yeah.
takes me 3 years to catch up.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the authority. Yeah, I mean, I think you could handle it, like, here's some individual thoughts that seem to align with each other as individuals on the committee, and you pass this forward to the authority and the council. When's our next meeting?
Next meeting is scheduled for March 21st.
And this feedback's to,
March 22nd, so.
so I think, yeah, I mean, you could come back with. So I think if you want to get in the council's lap, you would need some of your thoughts on paper by next week.
Maybe like for their work sessions. I mean, maybe not like trying to get on the formal work session, but
Yeah, I mean, for them, there's a couple ways that could be handled too. One, do you just send them an email saying, hey, we haven't formally met about this. These points that we seem to be in agreement, and we'd like you to consider this, council members. If you thought this was important, maybe you could put on your work session for some type, but you know how long they take to do anything.
Yeah, it takes forever.
You
to get
know,
it works good. So-
Well, even if you got it scheduled for the next meeting, they're gonna say, well, we need to have legal drafts of something, blah, blah, make a whole resolution. You know, by the time they actually adopt something, this whole process will be closed. So maybe rather than something formal coming from them, you just say, hey, here's 5 or 6 of these points. We think they're important. If you feel this is important too, will you please email your comments to the authority?
Yeah.
As individual council members, not necessarily a collective body. Because getting to act as a collective body in this time frame is limited.
yeah.
Do you anticipate that the city staff will be asked to write up any comments on behalf of the city?
I can inquire on that. I wouldn't think that we're plugged into this. I mean, certainly there's some interest. There's just not a really strong relationship between the staff and the authority. Is my sense is, you know, much of the authority operates based upon the elected officials that are attending or appointed to that. And so unless that elected official is bringing us back stuff to do or consider, I don't think we have staff members going to those meetings because we have an elected official appointed to go.
Right.
That's my sense. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I should maybe get in touch with, let's see, the appointee from Warren is Terry. Yeah, I should maybe get in touch with Terry and see what he thinks
That's
as
a
well.
good place to start. And, you know, if you convince them that, hey, Terry, you really ought to do something from the city level, and Terry could ask if staff is keyed in or ask us to key into this and
Okay.
through the mayor, of course, but, you know.
So you'll reach out to Terry. Is Debbie officially on this committee for 2023?
I believe so. When I listened to their, to some of their retreat, and they talked about their community assignment. It seemed like everybody was just gonna stay where they were.
Okay, because I think Debbie would be somebody also that we could reach out to. Want to do that, Darren? Do you want me to do that?
I will. I can reach out to Debbie, and if that's okay, Debbie and Terry.
Okay.
I don't have a pre-existing relationship with Terry, so if someone does,
That's probably
I'll just do
fine.
it.
to do.
Okay.
Can I propose then that we skip our meeting on the 21st?
And do all this other thing
And it's gonna do
more
that.
informally.
Yeah,
Okay.
since I don't think that we'll be able to crack the joint council. But I would like to maybe make this our priority for our meeting first.
Okay. That sounds fine with me.
And then,
I actually think the mayor will be quite interested in this. And I believe the city council will as well. I do see one or two things in here that I think they will not like very much, Hillary.
Oh, like what?
The thing that I saw signaled by a community that I was talking about this is world-class recreation opportunities. That phrase raises red flags. And you guys chose that phrase over other phrases, and we wonder why. Because world-class recreation opportunities sounds like you want to make this a tourist destination, and it sounds like a lot of development. And that is the implications of world-class to people I am talking to. And we are wondering if that's what ULA means by it. And that is why I think the mayor and city council would be very interested in it, because I do not think that they are favorably inclined to lots of world-class tourist facilities and lots more congestion and things like that. That's my view.
I also have, just looking at the goal 3 and goal 4, I read it in a similar way, Darren.
So I think that will generate quite a bit of concern. And if you have any initial insights into why you folks chose world-class instead of some of the other possible adjectives, I would love to hear.
Yeah, this wasn't my first choice either. I think it's more about the quality of the recreation experience. That seemed to be more, about the discussion was about that and not. But I mean, certainly like one of the goals is to, have it, Utah Lake be more of an economic asset for Utah Valley. Part of that is tourism, certainly. But I think it was more just like quality, in terms of quality, not in terms of like resorts or amenities.
Yeah.
Well, it might be something that needs to be defined, because let me say something, I think Darren has a point.
Yeah, for sure. I see your
That's a
point.
different definition for everyone that hears it.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
great.
actually plan on activating our city council on this a little bit,
No, that's
because I
great.
think they're allies with my point of view on it. And anyway,
But yeah, maybe it's just a matter of definition.
yeah, it could be.
What does that mean? Does it mean we're gonna become the next worldwide tourist resort, or we're gonna just make this a really nice amenity for the people that live here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine if that's what they understand, but yeah, that's and there's actually some other language in there that gives me pause along these lines. So you asked about my concerns, there they go.
This will be an agenda item for next time.
Great.
And can I just ask people to read it in advance?
Yes, for sure. Well, and I mean,
So we
I
can
like.
vote- I want to vote on language, I guess.
I like what Matt said about, if there's somebody who took the lead and drafted some possible language. I won't do it over email, but I might draft some language and circulate it. Certainly I will do so as in my capacity as a citizen, as I talk to some people about this, but I might also do it. I will be careful about open meeting laws and so forth, but I am going to be alerting people to these concerns.
Okay. We're going to move to landscaping amendments that have been proposed by the planning staff and Matt. Do you want to, Matt, provide me with a little bit of context for this, and maybe you could share some of that with others.
That's what's around.
For Paul and Hillary, this is in the addendum document that Matt sent. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, I noticed the PDF version has a big mess up and covers some of the language. I'll send a new one.
For me, it depended on how I opened it.
So, okay.
And I was able to read it.
Essentially, you're familiar essentially with our Water Conservancy District. They have several grants. Well, they have one major grant that we're interested in as a city itself. Leadership and landscaping grant or something like that. It's also available to most non-residential institutions, so businesses, government, schools, whatever. So yeah, it's like $150,000 grant for helping pay for water-wise landscaping. And city's interested in pursuing that grant for the future, city center rebuild. Then there's some other programs. I wouldn't call them grants per se, but they're rebate programs, or you do go filter strip. But some of them are the tech, like the smart meter device. Those are rebate programs on that. Seems to be one of them I'm forgetting. They're going to be making this funding available to residents on the rebate side or institutions on the grant side. Only available to cities that have adopted their, and that's this first document, water efficiency standards. So this is a little bit revised from other previous standards. This is not public on the website yet. I was told that they'd be making a decision this week. Central Utah, if they're actually going to insert these into the grants and rebates, but it seemed like almost a done deal. So I'll say almost because nothing's for sure until it's done. But so motivation for the city is to get, at least from the planning department, to align our own landscaping ordinances with these water efficiency standards, at least to what they would say are requirements under subsection 4. And then that's the Central Utah Water memo. So that not only the city can continue to qualify, but all other interested parties in the city can continue to qualify for these funds. This is definitely a strong carrot that Central Utah is putting out there for our elected officials to consider and requiring these type of standards. And whether it'll be enough of a carrot to have them amend our ordinances is to be seen. But we'll be taking this to the planning commission this once a quorum. This again incorporates the main requirements, not necessarily the suggestions on page 3 here. Recommendations and considerations. We'll be taking the planning commission hopefully to the council sometime in March, early April at the latest, so that we can continue to qualify for this funding.
She presented that work session a few weeks back. What was the response by the mayor and council?
I don't talk to them.
Okay.
Don't talk to them.
I wasn't sure if
Who's she?
from
There's
the
a
session.
representative that gave a presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go back and listen to the meeting and see what the general feedback was there, but as far as, I don't know, I'd be surprised if they communicated anything back to staff after that. I'm sure it was a nice, hey, thanks for the information, we're moving on. I don't think it's super high in their priority agenda. It will become super high in their agenda because.
Well, they asked several questions, I think.
Yeah.
Clarification.
Yeah. But I was surprised if it went beyond the meeting. I could be wrong. I could follow up on that. I think the biggest issue It's just things like, your lawn shall not exceed 35% of total landscape. Now, this largely will apply just to the new landscaping. It's not gonna go and target existing homes.
So that was my main question. Number 6 says any new or converted landscaping area installed after March 21st.
Yeah, so if you are an individual homeowner ripping out your landscaping, you would be required to comply. Not necessarily that we're sending people out to police for this either, so.
Right.
But any commercial or industrial type thing will be requiring landscaping plans and will be ensuring that they do comply with these standards. Multifamily, what?
If they update,
Oh,
they have
yeah.
existing and doing a new site plan or something. we need to do.
It's the update we get.
At what point is
At
it?
what
an
point- what
update?
point is an update where suddenly all this concern?
Yeah, we have a point where we already require them to have a landscape plan submitted to us. So
For residential.
not for residential, just for commercial and industrial
Oh,
manufacturing.
Yeah, we
Well,
require
if
that for
there's
quite
a-
some time.
stream already.
But this will just guide us as we're talking to people who call in to ask.
Honestly, this will be this will not be a non-issue, in my experience. These standards will probably be a non-issue for the institutional and business uses. It's just that's the standard, we're gonna do it, we'll put it in.
Yeah, most of the time they don't do too much.
So the only way this will get hung up is, well, we got any residential subdivision. We're gonna technically require to comply with this. And some people just might really like the grass. So that might be a contentious issue when it comes to decision point. Yeah, as the public officials consider this. Again, well, and the way this reads is reconstructive landscaping, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only if they're changing.
Yeah, so that may be a talking point too. I'm gonna come in, read on landscape and I have to type the standards. So I think the main goal was one was their formula was happening too, but also solicit feedback on this. And
As far as feedback, it seems to me that if a residential homeowner is converting their landscape, it would mostly be because they want less grass.
Yeah.
So
should be a non-issue.
I don't think it will be right. I don't think you will
Yeah.
get lots of complaints over
And you
it.
say reduce it from 70% to 50%, that's a step in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
So,
And there's rebate money that.
yeah,
we're trying
and
to get
certainly.
people to take advantage of.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is if they are gonna go after the rebate money, they're gonna have to apply with these anyways.
Yeah.
So the only people this really affects would be individuals that have plenty of money, don't want to deal with a rebate, and they want to do what they want, regardless of what the rules say, so
Yeah.
people with money, people with time. and
I'm
resources.
thinking about people that buy a house. They want to redo the landscape. And they have, the favorite thing is outdoor yards, whatever. And so that they want to take, and like landscaping at Aaron's house, and turn it into a full. It would be preventative.
Right.
But this wouldn't impact their backyard,
And-
correct?
and-
It's only the front and side yards.
And the discussion will
Is that-
likely, yeah, this is
Because it's
front
only
side
required
yard.
yeah.
landscape
Yeah.
areas. And you can have a dirt backyard if you so please.
Yeah, and I think, it's not really an issue of practical versus philosophy or principle. So, people may oppose requiring this of individual homeowners on the basis of principle more than even just practicality. So, but we will be presenting it regardless of that potential philosophical debate.
Right.
Because we're interested in maintaining this resource for our residents, this grant and rebate program for the residents and businesses here.
Sounds like a good reason to do it.
Are you presenting to?
Jason will be doing this.
Well, I'm certainly in favor of meeting these requirements for the city. tons of sense. I have some potential reservations about on the residents.
Yeah,
Less about new construction. Because you know what you're getting, right? More about people's ability to make their words. Already have some restrictions, but this seems to me like it's quite different.
yeah, and I think we recognize that concern. We're certainly aware of it. And that's where the elected officials get paid big bucks, right? They have to decide, you know, three options here. One, do we do this and ensure this continued funding? Two, we don't do this and jeopardizes continued funding. Or third, we go say, well, we're gonna pause on this until we send some feedback to Central Utah. It could be another one, say, hey, you know what, we're all for your standards to a point. And that's where it gets political. Again.
So does that mean if it doesn't get passed, and I as a resident want to take part in the program, I would not be able to?
That's my understanding. Again, these are not officially published
then if-
rules.
Institutions that wanted to partake in the
Yeah.
grant money couldn't,
And that's a big concern,
Yeah,
right?
That-
Because you're taking away people's freedom to
it's like there's this.
do this.
and that's the current direction that this is headed, as it's been articulated to me from, I called him last week. But he also put a big caveat. But it's not done to us.
So either way, you are imposing rules on people. Does that
Right.
not reduce
You're
your,
limiting,
you're limiting
Yeah.
options?
right,
Yeah. I mean, does that?
Yeah.
But
but either way,
either way, right?
you're
So-
limiting options
So,
for.
So which ones do we want to limit?
right,
Right.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
right, so doesn't that make you say, we'll hold it?
Yeah, I mean, if I was writing these requirements, I would like to look at them a bit different.
Move on to camping then.
I mean,
So all we've done is try to incorporate them in,
Right.
so we will continue to qualify.
in general, I am as supportive as possible of finding ways to reduce our water footprint. And we are way behind. So this would be considered extremely generous.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're close to complete bans in 13. Golf courses.
So I'm in favor of gradually tightening our restrictions. And I'm especially in favor of incentivizing individuals. And if those two things are incompatible. Are you looking for a specific endorsement from the committee?
It's a little, I mean, if you all feel comfortable giving endorsement this time, that's great. If you don't feel comfortable, you want some kind of stew on it, if you shot me some written feedback as an individual committee member before next Tuesday, that would be very welcome as well.
Paul and Hillary, if you've been following the discussion, do you have any feedback you want to provide to the committee or to Matt?
Yeah, my impression in reading it through before the meeting was I was supportive of the idea of where they're going with it. I also, you know, just on principle have trouble with something that either A, limits people, or B, is hard to enforce. So why even have that rule? But I think it does encourage people to think in that direction, and that's really good. And I like the idea of having access to the grant and rebate money, and I think a lot of Orem residents will as well.
Hillary?
You're probably gonna hear kids screaming, just a warning.
Is it about this particular issue?
We're so excited about water conservation. Yeah, my only concern was like if it has to be launch and not exceed 35% of total, that's like really so little. But I'm all for getting rebates and getting these programs in Orem, so. It's still gonna cost more than the rebate, likely, like for you to redo your landscaping, it's expensive.
Yeah, I'm not sure if these rebates are meant to fully pay for the
Yeah.
rehab, it's meant to reduce the burden.
Yeah, but it's a good incentive, hopefully.
Is there any?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're kind of first looking over it, it's like, yeah, this is great. This is encouraging people to giving them a nudge and providing funding, but I have a small front yard anyway, so it doesn't really affect me personally too much. I would like to be able to, in theory, access the funding, but I do recognize that either way, it's putting a burden on somebody.
Somebody,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it's a wise, I mean, how many people are looking out the line?
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
1 or 2 people in the city are gonna be like, oh, I asked what the rules were and it said this.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily like that.
And again, with this audience, I don't know how it will go. So,
This is just a personal issue, but I have a large front lawn that I would like to rip out. But if I have to landscape 65% of my front yard without lawn, it's going to be a very expensive project. And I may not be in a position to.
I ran the same issue. I have even new construction in my house. Poured in, rebuilt, rebuilt landscaping. I've been far more lawn than I had originally wanted, just because it's so much
expensive.
to do it. One was aesthetically how we wanted, balanced with, just the amount of area I had a corner lot.
no,
It's just,
that's a lot.
so at the end there, I just did, I just gotta finish this and I gotta decide to put more on. As conscious as I am of these issues, I didn't have the budget or the time to really do a xeriscape right, and it didn't fit the aesthetic of my wife's rose obsession. Unless I put in another 100 rose bushes, but she'd be very happy with that. But then that's just so much more. I already got a month worth of pruning.
The other thing I worry just a little bit about is more of an optics thing. If we as an NRSC say, yes, stamp of approval, we love this, then I think that there are members of the city council that will say, these guys are all about regulation.
I think it'd be appropriate to say, in general, we support the direction this is moving. We recognize concern over individual property owners' rights to do what they want with their residential property. We encourage the council to work with Central Utah on maybe lightening up on the residential component of these mandates, and maybe someplace in between. Yes or no. And I'm not saying you have to make a formal motion or vote either. I'm just saying if you wanted to, maybe that's the middle ground.
That's a nice solution, Matt. I like that a lot.
I just thought of one other thing, and I don't remember ever seeing it in there. Is there any stipulation about the type of grass? So for example, what if there was some sort of, I don't know, this is something we could talk to Central Utah about, but like a low water use, or there are grasses that need a lot less water, right? So for Quinn's lawn, right, if he used this native sort of grass that we learned about at the conservation gardens, then he'd still be using the same amount as if he only had 35% of his front yard lawn.
Like an omission.
That's smart, yeah.
So like
It was like a buffalo grass or some other drought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
Okay, well, at the risk of further debate, let me propose a statement. If you can type it up here. That says that NRSC considered the planning department's proposed changes this morning. And we are enthusiastic about finding ways to conserve water through landscaping. Recognizing that, and very enthusiastic about giving our residents and commercial these opportunities to take advantage of rebates, grants, to reduce the water consumption. We would ideally like to see more opportunities for low water sod options and to provide residents with more opportunities to make choices about their own landscaping.
Yeah. I can finish that up.
What revisions would you like to make to that?
It's, I'm typing that up with what additional options for lower water sod that may exceed 35%,
Yeah,
because that's the key issue there, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Trying to have your
restriction.
cake and eat it too.
well, did you say anything? I missed it. I was thinking about a lot of things while you're saying that. I was liking a lot. But did that include anything? I like Matt's idea that we recommend that the city talk to the Central Utah Water Conservation District about this too. That,
Yeah, I can just type up the recommend continued
a continued dialogue.
on the landscaping standards,
Right.
particularly as it relates to grass.
Yes.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Paul or Hillary, anything you want to amend there?
No, I like that. Thank you.
Sarah? Okay. So it is a little bit of heavy lifting.
That's easy. Eating your cake and having it too is hard.
That's true.
Yes. I learned that was about wedding cakes. You have your beautiful cake. You can't have it and eat it too.
Okay. I do think it's important that we demonstrate that the city moving towards opportunities for water use, especially on these properties. It's something that we
So what I'm going to ask for I'm going to read this back to you. I may just clean it up, but generally that's what I have. And then maybe you want to vote on it. So, the NRC has considered planning to propose changes to the zoning ordinance regarding landscaping, and we are enthusiastic about finding ways to conserve water through landscaping. Also, like improve landscaping standards or water-wise landscaping standards, and they're very enthusiastic about continuing opportunities for residential commercial property owners to have access to grant and rebate opportunities that reduce water conservation. We would ideally like additional options for low water sod that may exceed 35% restriction. Consider under essentially to water service district standards and Dr. Orange City standards, and the recommended team dialogue on landscaping standards, particularly at the grass sod options with Central Utah as your current grant rebate opportunities for its constituents. That's what I have.
Okay, just make sure that we're not reducing the water conservation.
We want to increase conservation, reduce use.
Okay. I propose that we vote on this, if you're comfortable. Any objections to voting? All those in favor of this statement of support, say aye.
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 Aye. It's a nod from Hillary. We're getting the nod. Does that give you?
Yeah, I'll get it cleaned up in the morning and ship it off over to Jason, and he'll move on forward to as part of his presentations to planning commission.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, given our time, I propose that we move our discussion of awards next. Next meeting, but if there's anyone that has any nominees, either individual or commercial nominees, I am hungry for them. Does anyone have any off the top of their head?
I almost set one in line, but maybe it's worth looking at some of the city projects this last year.
Oh, yeah.
To give an award to the city?
Yeah, well, just recognize the certain part,
A department.
Yeah.
public resources, you know.
Right, the department would be.
Yeah, again, I can't remember it actually completed, but maybe in future years, like the Hillcrest Elementary Park, you know, if you feel like that was a good, or, you know, down here where they finished the water tank. Not sure if there's any this last year that have been completed, but I just.
What about UVU? Is UVU not deserving here of something? Hasn't UVU been doing some stuff?
I mean, yeah,
Not enough yet.
well, I don't know what's to what standard.
Right.
You know, because we could tout. But I'm still tracking down some of the data. Gonna be doing the status update in April.
Does seem like UVU would be is ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it really does.
I mean, you know, it has its geothermal, heating and cooling. It has a plan to reduce a certain amount of grass. Like, change it to-
That's your work to be for the plan, not so much.
right.
Yeah, here's the work for the plan, and we've seen visible evidence that they've been implemented, right? So it's-
Yeah.
You have anybody? You want to talk to?
Well, like, yeah, I mean, what specific area do you want to reach?
Energy use, water use.
Energy use, water.
Whatever you guys are doing good at. I just feel like I hear some stuff that you guys are doing some good things, and I would be nice to recognize it. You seem less certain about your goodness.
Well, no,
so-
it's just because I'm also behind the scenes and I see all the things that I'd like to improve. And so
Ah,
that's
I see. that
my
you-
initial thought is like, oh, but we have all this grass that we gotta get rid of.
Right.
You know,
I
but
see.
there are also things that that we have done and worked on efficiency and the way we've designed some buildings and so yeah, there's definitely areas where there's a lot of efficiency going on and plans to reduce water. So like the mindset is it headed in that direction, but it's a large property. And so it takes, it's, you know, it's a big ship and so everybody it's trying to go in the right direction. We've made a lot of progress, but it's easy for me to see all the things that I would be afraid people would notice and go, well, what about this or what about that? Anyway, I mean, we're starting a pilot program to collect our food waste. That's gonna go to the anaerobic digester.
What about an award to somebody like the Orem Bicycle Coalition? They do some very nice things. It's not a business, it's not a residence, but they're out there working hard to try to improve bike transportation.
I like that idea. The question I have is, are they functional?
They are. I mean, they're on Facebook. They have meetings. I don't know. There is that. They're also, I don't know. There was a missionary hit recently and hurt very badly, or scared at least, and they're always out there, touting improvements that make biking safer, and it's hard to really argue with that.
Yeah,
Um,
it could be also very encouraging.
yeah, right, and give them some recognition and maybe some. I mean, I'm just looking at their Facebook posts here for the last 6 months. And
That has me thinking of an individual. Shauna Meekum has been riding her bike minivan. She takes her kids.
It's using the bike, right?
She does have an e-bike, and there's sometimes she has like 2 kids on the back because she has kind of an extended e-bike, and then a bike trailer with a kid or 2. So she's biking around town with 3 kids usually, and she works for MAG. So
that's pretty cool.
I think she's been a really great example of one, low impact on transportation, and 2, the benefits of getting to know your community better. And not only does she know the community in her line of work on a large scale, but she also knows it intimately as she's biking around. I think there's something kind of magical about.
She's
about
very,
that.
very interested. That's a tricky one in March.
Oh, never mind. I just realized it.
You realize why that's tricky.
Yes, I do realize that's tricky. Perhaps not this year. Perhaps sometime in the future.
She was unceremonious.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
I see.
Because we didn't like her perspectives.
but perhaps in the future we can. There might be a time to write that.
Those are great suggestions. Can we put this on the agenda for next time, please?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to close this up since we have people with things to do. We did, I believe, receive minutes though, right?
Yes. Thank you. It was a lot of additional outlining each section.
It was fun. I missed part of it, so I went to listen. Good times.
I'm glad you thought it was fun.
Changes up the week.
Thanks for sending that sustainability page. Matt, thank you for the minutes. Okay. Would anyone like to?
I'll move to approve the minutes from our January 17th meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes have been approved. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, Michaela. I know that we stayed a little longer today. Matt, thank you.
Sorry.
Apologize for being late.
No, the weather is.
Yeah, we started late. Yeah, the Wonderson Farm people for keeping green space in the city.
I love it.
Yep.
So we've talked about the Bike Coalition, Wilkerson Farm, UVU.
I'm just tossing out ideas. I
Yeah,
don't have to-
no, it's good.
Yeah. I just thought,
I like that.
preserving green space. Yeah.
Well, and if we can tie that into kind of the vision that the city's doing with the Heritage Park
Yeah.
and highlight, an Orem farm that has.
Yeah.
Well, you could also highlight Warren Farmers Market.